So I'm Josh Starr. I'm the CEO of PDK International, and I've been CEO for 2 years.
Equity at its best.
This is part 3 of our interview with Joshua Starr, and the question was, how do we improve social issues in education?
Well, I mean, Title I started, about 40 years ago now, 50 years ago, I should say, and as part of, Johnson administration, ESEA, and all of that to support those schools that have the most vulnerable kids, specifically in areas of mathematics, literacy, family engagement. It's interesting that there's a lot more flexibility at the school and district level in title dollars, whether it's Title I, Title II, Title III, than a lot of districts know about. There's a fabulous niche law firm called the Fed Ed Group, F-E-D-E-D, Fed Ed Group, that has done a lot of analysis around this and it offers great guidance. But there's a lot more flexibility than people think there is. But that notwithstanding, typically it goes to supporting literacy and mathematics instruction and family and community engagement in schools that have the highest percentage of kids in poverty. So we know a lot about how to improve teaching and learning and how to improve schools so that the most vulnerable kids get what they need. And it's pretty straightforward. One, you need money. I mean, you have to allocate resources towards kids that need the most help, and whether that is resources in the form of the classroom, resources in the form of having the best teachers, resources in terms of time, resources in terms of wraparound services like healthcare, mental health care, dental care, whatever it may be, a place to clean your clothes, after school programs. That takes resources, right? So that's one piece. Two, you have to have highly skilled teachers that know how to teach kids that are at multiple levels. If there's a reading issue, well then you got to know how to teach reading. If there's a math issue, you got to know how to teach math. So the teachers need to be highly professional in their skills. And three, you need to have teachers that understand black and brown boys and girls and understand issues of poverty. Most of the teaching population is white women, and I have nothing against white women, but they need to understand how to interact with, how to show kids that, black and brown kids, that they're valued and loved and cared for. They need to attend to the social emotional needs of kids, and really understand that there's cultural issues that need to be dealt with when you have a white teaching force teaching kids of color. So they need to be highly proficient in that, and we have to break down issues of white privilege and institutional racism within our schools, within our communities, within our school districts. So we need teachers that are always learning, that are always getting better at their craft and just their absolute best. We need principals that are creating really positive school environments with really high standards, where they're looking at the impact of their instruction on student achievement results, where they're engaging their teachers and their families and even their kids in the leadership of the school, where families feel really welcome and cared for. And then finally, you need a lot of community partnerships that are attending to the needs beyond those that can be addressed in the classroom. So those are wraparound services, healthcare, after-school programs, trauma-informed care, mental health services, transportation. There's all these things that go into creating a sort of healthy community, and schools have to work closely in partnership with that. And then I guess my final point is you need leadership at the district and the school board level that are in it for the long game and recognize that there are no quick fixes, and that while the politics of education are rife with searches for panaceas and quick fixes and silver bullets, it's a really tough road to hoe, and you got to be in it for the long game. And unfortunately, a lot of school boards aren't, and some superintendents aren't either. They're too subject to the kind of political whims that exist, but you need leadership at all levels to be able to withstand that. So wraparound services are services that are within a schoolhouse typically, and that are provided by both school employees and also community agencies, and they attend to Maslow's hierarchy, right? Maslow, the famous psychologist, that had this hierarchy of needs that, it's really hard to teach a kid algebra or anything for that matter when they're hungry, right? You need to be fed, you need to have a safe environment, you need to feel physically and mentally safe. So in order to become actualized, your basic needs need to be met. So it can start with something as simple as, having places for kids to be able to clean their clothes. We've even seen it where some families, I know one superintendent who opened up the school for families to do laundry there because they were spending a lot of time at the laundromat, and she said, you know what, I want the families in my school, so let's bring a laundromat into the school, right? So a lot of it's about meeting basic needs. Some of it can be, as I mentioned earlier, it can be dental care, it can be mental health services, it can be health services. After school programs are also important. The white middle class, and not just white middle class, but the middle class and upper middle class have figured out what to do for their kids, right? And you adjust your schedules to make sure that they are able to get to enrichment programs and things like that, and they're taken care of, and they need to be taken care of. They go to the doctor regularly and all that. Well, we talk about wraparound services now for kids who don't have access to that kind of resource, but really it's just about what parents with means do for their kids. You provide them a lot of services outside the school day. The community school movement has certainly embrace that in lots of ways. I'm one of the co-chairs of the broader, bolder approach to education, which embraces that. And the idea is that you take a case management approach to every child. You know their story, you know what they need, you know what needs they have beyond those that can be addressed in the school, and you figure out with community partners how to get those services to them. So this is America, and for our entire history, we have been built on the idea of white supremacy, particularly for white males. Our institutions have been designed to privilege white males for the most part, and our public schools have been organized as the great tracking or the great sorting mechanism for American society, and it's built into the DNA of school systems. Just look at who gets into gifted and talented programs, who gets access to the best teachers, think how we talk with parents and families and things like that. So we are, as a society, we have to deal with institutional racism that is embedded in every single one of our public institutions, and school systems are no different. And until we start confronting that as educators, we will never get to the place we want to be, right? I mean, we can drill and kill kids to pass tests to a certain extent. It'll get you just so far. But you really have to start asking, why is it that we're not able to use the government institution of a school as a way to build a bridge to kids and communities that need it the most? What are the issues of trust that exist? How is it, what are the issues of resource allocations that exist? What are the policies that are preventing us from ensuring that all kids have access to high quality instruction? So those are the kinds of things that we have to confront, and we have to understand the dynamics that race plays in our country, and it always has, and I don't want to say it always will, because I'm hopeful, but at the same time, it's got to be dealt with, and it has to be dealt with today, and it has to be dealt with at the most basic classroom, grassroots level, as well as at the system, school board, superintendent, system level. All you have to do is Google me, and a whole bunch of stuff will come up, but you can find me, my Twitter handle is @JoshuaP.Starr. You can also go to pdkintl.org, that's Phi Delta Kappa, that's our website. And if you go to Clippings, which is a great site that houses all of my everything I've written, you can go to clippings.com, and you can look me up and you can find all the things I've written, or you can just go to pdkintl.org. The other great one for great resources on education is our website for Kappan Magazine, kappanonline.org.